Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering your landlord has just decided to totally change the terms of your lease.
Uh-oh, that never goes well.
Right. Like, they aren't just charging you for the house anymore. Starting today, they are going to charge you an extra fee for every single person who walks through your front door.
Wow. That's bold.
Yeah, you have a dinner party, that's an extra $100. You have a
Mhm.
baby, great, your rent just went up indefinitely.
I mean, you would move out immediately.
Exactly, you'd pack your bags today. It's completely absurd. Yet, in the business world, if you are running a company or managing a team, you just accept this exact scenario every single day. I mean, we literally call it per-seat software pricing.
Yeah, and it's just the water we all swim in.
Yeah.
You hire a new employee, and you instantly have to add a seat to your email provider, a seat to your CRM, a seat to your scheduling app, your project management tool.
And the monthly bill just quietly ticks up automatically.
Right? It is just accepted as this fundamental law of corporate physics. You rent your tools, and you pay the toll for every single person who uses them.
And if you look closely at those bills, I mean, the relentless expansion, the way features you actually need are always, gate kept in the next tier up, that standard utility bill starts looking a lot less like a service and a lot more like a hostage situation.
Oh, absolutely.
We are looking at a software landscape that is, well, it's basically a trap.
It is the absolute definition of the SaaS Rent Trap. Software as a service was supposed to, free us from managing servers and hiring IT guys, but it really just ended up taxing our growth.
Which is precisely why we are here today. So welcome. If you are tuning into this deep dive, I already know something about you. You are constantly learning, you are always questioning the default settings, and you are looking for smarter, maybe more resilient ways to operate.
Because the defaults are broken right now.
They really are. And today's mission is a big one. It goes right to the heart of how you run your operations. We are unpacking a massive shift in how businesses handle their software infrastructure.
A really necessary shift.
Yeah. Specifically, we are diving into a comprehensive offering from Baur Software, and it's called the Tenure Service Plan.
And honestly, this requires a total mindset shift for anyone listening.
How so?
Well, because this isn't just a new app you sign up for on a whim.
Yeah.
It's a complete architectural rebellion against that rent trap we were just talking about. Tenure is a managed infrastructure and development service, sure, but its primary design goal is to get you to just stop renting your stack.
Stop renting entirely.
Entirely. Instead of paying hundreds or even thousands of dollars a month for subscriptions that you will literally never own, Baur Software deploys enterprise-grade open-source equivalents to popular business tools directly onto your own private server, or, your own cloud account if you prefer.
Okay, I want to stop right there because the implications of that are actually wild. They put the tools on your server. That means you hold the root credentials. You own every single byte of your customer data.
Exactly.
I mean, if Baur Software were to just disappear off the face of the earth tomorrow, your tools just keep running, right?
That is the crucial differentiator here. It fundamentally changes the power dynamic between you and your software provider. You aren't a tenant in someone else's walled garden anymore.
You're the landlord.
Right. You are the owner of your own digital real estate. The data never leaves your jurisdiction.
So here is the roadmap for how we are going to tackle this today. We are going to break down the core philosophy behind Tenure. Then we are going to literally open up the toolbox and examine the exact open source tools they use to replace those really expensive SaaS dependencies.
And there are some great tools in there.
There are, but I'm going to ask some hard questions about whether open source can actually compete with the big tech giants because, we've all been burned by clinky open source stuff before.
Right.
From there, we will walk through the 4 distinct levels of the plan, from a starter kit all the way up to a full agency model. And finally, we're going to look at the AI-driven development loop that makes maintaining all of this economically possible for a normal, everyday business.
Because that really is the missing link here.
Yeah.
The whole reason businesses started renting software in the first place, like back in the 2010s, was because maintaining it themselves was just way too hard.
Right, and hiring system administrators was incredibly expensive.
Exactly. But the explosion of AI tooling has changed that mathematical equation completely.
Let's start right there, with the math and the philosophy, the ownership model. The foundation of Tenure rests on 2 main pillars, total ownership and predictable pricing. We are talking about moving away from what the sources call the toll booth model.
Yeah, the toll booth model is all about metering. The vendor controls the compute, They control the pricing tiers, and they ultimately control what you can afford to do at scale. If you double your headcount, your software costs double, even if your actual computational usage of the software barely changed at all. I mean, adding a user to a database costs fractions of a penny in compute power.
Literally fractions of a penny.
But the SaaS vendor charges you $30 a month for the privilege of adding that one user. Tenure flips that entirely. You pay a flat monthly rate, period.
And that rate includes the infrastructure management and some fractional development hours, right?
Yes, it does. There are no surprise bills at the end of the month, no hidden credits you have to buy to use certain features, and absolutely zero per seat fees as your team grows.
And the cost transparency goes even further, which is, well, it's pretty rare in the B2B space, honestly. Looking at the documentation, setup is included in all the tenure plans.
Which is huge.
Yeah, there are no massive five-figure onboarding fees just to turn the lights on. Plus, Baur software doesn't mark up the raw hosting costs.
No, they don't.
If your raw cloud compute on Amazon Web Services or DigitalOcean costs $22 a month, Baur bills you exactly $22.
Look at the alignment of incentives there. In the traditional SaaS model, the vendor is structurally incentivized to lock you in. They really want to make it as painful as possible for you to export your data so you just never leave.
Yeah, they want it to be a nightmare to migrate away.
Exactly. But Baur software, under the tenure model, is incentivized to build you a stable, autonomous system because they are operating as your fractional infrastructure team. They make their margin on the flat management fee and the development hours, not on gatekeeping your own data from you.
Okay, I love the theory. The house analogy works perfectly. But let's be pragmatic for a second. Owning a house means you have to fix the plumbing when it breaks.
True.
If a pipe bursts at 3 a.m., there's no front desk to call in a house. If I'm a business owner and I am self-hosting my own accounting software and my own company email, what happens when the server just goes down? I don't want to hire a full-time sysadmin for $120,000 a year just to keep my email running.
And you really shouldn't have to. That is exactly why Tenure is a managed service, not just some deployment script you download from GitHub and run yourself.
Okay.
Baur software manages the plumbing for you. They handle the security patches, the automated backups, and the uptime monitoring. But to really understand how they do this reliably, without needing a massive IT team on their end, we have to look at the specific tools they're putting in your house.
The open source tools.
Right. The open source community has matured so much over the last 5 years to a point where these tools are incredibly robust. Baur has curated a very specific toolbox of open source equivalents to replace your everyday SaaS dependencies.
Right, let's open that toolbox. Because this is where the rubber meets the road. If you're going to ask a business owner to cancel their subscriptions to tools they know and trust, I mean, the replacements have to actually work and they have to be user-friendly.
They can't look like they were built in 1995.
Exactly. So first up on the list from the sources, we have accounting.
Accounting replaces your standard cloud accounting software. So things like Xero or your standard QuickBooks Online. It handles all your invoicing, expense tracking, and your standard financial reporting.
Oh wait, every CPA I know absolutely demands QuickBooks. I mean, if you tell an accountant you are using a self-hosted open source ledger, they're going to look at you like you have 3 heads.
Oh, they definitely will.
Yeah.
Which is a very valid reality of doing business. You can't just break your relationship with your CPA.
Right.
That's why Baur doesn't just install accounting and walk away. They configure it with a two-way QuickBooks sync.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's huge.
It is crucial. It means your internal day-to-day operations, your historical data, and your client billing all live natively on your own server. You own it. But when tax season comes around, or when your external CPA needs to run their very specific reports, the data syncs seamlessly to their required format in QuickBooks.
So you maintain data sovereignty without breaking your external financial relationships. That's really smart.
Exactly. Everyone gets what they need.
Okay, so the money is tracked and the CPA is happy. But before money changes hands, contracts have to be signed. That brings us to the next tool in the box, which is DocuSeal.
This one is an immediate, massive cost saver for pretty much any business. DocuSeal replaces commercial contract and document signing tools like DocuSign or PandaDoc.
And those tools are notorious for the toll booth model. I mean, they charge by the envelope or they mandate these really expensive per-user licenses just to send a basic PDF for a signature.
Oh, it gets wildly expensive. DocuSeal gives you unlimited document signing. Unlimited, it is legally binding, it's fully compliant with electronic signature laws, and the best part, it is entirely hosted on your own infrastructure.
Which is a big deal for privacy.
Think about the nature of the documents you are actually signing. NDAs, employee contracts, partnership agreements, sensitive merger details. These are highly sensitive legal agreements. In the SaaS model, those documents sit on a third-party vendor server forever. With DocuSeal on Tenure, your legal documents never leave your physical control. The actual cryptographic signature happens on your hardware.
Which naturally leads right into how you are actually sending those contracts to people.
Oh.
Email. The sources list self-hosted email. Now, I have to push back hard here.
I figured you would.
Yeah, because everyone just defaults to Google Workspace or Microsoft 365, and they just accept paying the $10 to $20 per user per month fee.
They do. And for a company of, say, 50 people, that's up to $1,000 a month just for the privilege of sending text messages to clients.
Sure, the cost is high. But there is a reason for that, isn't there? If I host my own email on a random digital server, won't every single newsletter or invoice I send go straight into my clients' spam folders?
It's huge concern.
Yeah. Google and Microsoft practically have a duopoly on email reputation. 10 years ago, self-hosting email was an absolute deliverability nightmare. How does Baur solve the spam problem?
It's a fantastic question. And it really highlights the difference between amateur self-hosting and managed infrastructure. You are totally right. If you just spin up an email server today and start blasting messages, Google will blacklist your IP address instantly.
Yeah, you'll vanish into the spam folder.
Baur handles this by meticulously managing the modern holy trinity of email authentication. That is SBF, DKIM, and DMRC.
Okay, break those acronyms down for us. What are they actually doing behind the scenes?
Simply put, they are cryptographic proofs of identity.
Yeah.
SBF tells the world exactly which IP addresses are actually allowed to send email on behalf of your specific domain.
Okay.
DKIM attaches a hidden, encrypted digital signature to every single email you send, which basically proves the message wasn't tampered with in transit by a bad actor.
Got it. And DMR?
DMR is the policy layer. It tells receiving servers like Gmail or Outlook exactly what to do if an email fails those first two checks. Like, do you reject it? Do you quarantine it? Baur configures all of this flawlessly for you.
So that keeps you out of the spam filter.
Yes. Furthermore, for highly critical transactional emails, they can route your outbound traffic through trusted, high-reputation relay servers just to be safe. You get professional email on your own domain with standard IMP and SMTP access for your phone and desktop clients, perfect deliverability, and absolutely no per-seat toll booth.
Okay, that makes sense. It's not just a rogue server, it's properly authenticated. So business operations, accounting, contracts, email, they're all running smoothly. But Tenure is also fundamentally a development service. Where does the actual software code live? The sources list GitLab CE.
GitLab Community Edition is an absolute powerhouse. It totally replaces third-party repositories like GitHub or Bitbucket. It handles your code hosting, your issue tracking, and your version control. But more importantly, it handles your CI/CD pipelines.
CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment. For the non-engineers listening to this, what does that actually look like in practice?
Imagine a factory assembly line for your software. In the old days, a developer would write code on their local laptop, manually upload it to a live server, restart the server, and just pray it didn't crash the company website.
Which it often did.
Exactly. CI/CD automates all of that anxiety away.
Yeah.
When a developer, or as we will discuss later, an AI agent, writes new code, the CI/CD pipeline automatically grabs it. It runs automated testing to ensure there are absolutely no bugs, and if it passes all the tests, it seamlessly deploys it to the live server.
Sure.
By self-hosting GitLab CE, the automation that builds and deploys your custom software lives in the exact same secure environment as the code itself. No third party ever has access to your proprietary algorithms.
But if I have all this infrastructure, all this code, and all my company's accounting data living on my server, well, that is a massive honeypot for hackers. I need passwords to access all these tools. How do I secure the keys to the kingdom without, again, paying a per-seat fee for an enterprise 1Password or LastPass account?
That brings us to Vaultwarden. Vaultwarden is a really lightweight, self-hosted password manager that is fully compatible with the broader Bitwarden ecosystem.
Oh, I've heard of Bitwarden.
Yeah, so you use the standard browser extensions and the mobile apps you're used to, but the actual encrypted vault itself lives on your Tenure server, not on Bitwarden servers.
Why does that matter? Why is centralizing passwords in the cloud a risk in the first place?
Think about the major password manager breaches we've seen in the news over the last few years. When a SaaS password manager is breached, the hackers are getting a centralized database of millions of different companies' vaults. It is basically the most lucrative target on the internet.
Right, it's a gold mine.
By self-hosting Vaultwarden, your master credentials are removed from that massive centralized target. The vault is secured with zero-knowledge encryption, meaning even your own server itself cannot read the passwords without your master key.
Yeah.
But the physical encrypted file only exists in your own environment.
Okay, so security is locked down. Let's talk about day-to-day friction. Scheduling meetings. The sources highlight a tool called cal.com.
This might honestly be the perfect microcosm of the entire tenure philosophy. Cal.com is a self-hosted scheduling tool. It does exactly what Calendly does.
Okay.
You send someone a link, they see your calendar availability, they book a time, and it automatically sends out calendar invites.
But with Calendly, the moment you want to pool availability for a whole sales team or route cause round-robin style, you are paying a really significant premium per user.
Exactly. I mean, it scales up fast. With self-hosted cal.com on Tenure, your scheduling software cost remains exactly zero, whether your sales team is 5 people or 50 people.
Okay, so we have this incredible array of separate tools, accounting, scheduling, passwords, code. But how do they all actually talk to the internet securely? I don't want to be in the business of configuring firewall rules and renewing security certificates every 3 months. I'd mess it up.
And you don't have to touch it. The infrastructure relies on 2 critical components to handle that: Caddy and something called PAP, Secured Access. Caddy acts as the TLS reverse proxy.
Okay, translate TLS reverse proxy for us.
Think of Caddy as the hyper-efficient bouncer at the front door of your server.
I like that.
When you type in your accounting web address, the request hits Caddy first. Caddy ensures the connection is secure and encrypted. It actually automatically negotiates with, Let's Encrypt, to issue and renew your SSL certificates without any human intervention at all.
So no more expired certificate warnings on the website.
Exactly. Then it securely routes your request to the internal accounting container, keeping the rest of the actual server completely invisible to the outside world.
And what about PAP? It's listed as Baur's proprietary zero trust protocol.
PAP stands for the Principal Agent Protocol. This is crucial for modern security, especially in a world where AI agents and automated scripts are constantly accessing data.
How is it different from normal security?
Well, standard security says, here's a username and password, you have access, come on in. Zero Trust says, I don't care if you have the password. I am going to cryptographically verify exactly who you are, what specific device you're on, and exactly what you're trying to do every single time you make a request.
Every single time.
Every single time. PAP ensures that every AI agent or human user only sees exactly what they are mandated to see. It's a literal mathematical boundary preventing unauthorized access, even from inside the network.
So we have the philosophy and we have the toolbox. We understand the mechanisms of how these tools actually work totally independently of big tech. Now, how does a business actually engage with this?
That brings us to the service gears, starting with level 1, which is the Tenure Starter Plan.
The entry point.
This is priced at $997 a month. What exactly is a business getting for that roughly $1,000? The starter tier is highly targeted. It is designed specifically to address the most common, most expensive SaaS bloat that small businesses face today. So for $997 a month, you get the core administrative tools deployed, managed, and constantly monitored.
Which tools exactly?
You get accounting with the QuickBooks sync we talked about, DocuSeal for all your contracts, and the self-hosted email.
And the underlying infrastructure is all there too.
Yes. You get the Caddy proxy handling traffic, Vaultwarden for password management, cal.com for scheduling, and that PAP secured access layer. Plus, and this is a really big value add, Baur includes support for one custom app deployed with a GitLab CI/CD pipeline.
Wait, really? A custom app is included in the starter tier?
Yes. So if you have a proprietary internal tool or, say, a basic customer portal, it's supported and hosted within this exact same tier.
Now, earlier I mentioned the psychology of SaaS billing. $1,000 a month might sound like a heavy new bill to a small business owner who is used to just paying 20 bucks here and there, but you really have to do the napkin math on what this is replacing.
Oh, absolutely.
It's about stopping the bleeding. Let's say you're listening to this and you run an agency or a consulting firm with, let's say, 30 people. Google Workspace for 30 users is going to run you around $600 a month. Calendly for the whole team is probably another $450. A commercial e-signature platform for your sales and HR departments could easily be $300 a month.
And that's conservative.
Right. You are already at $350 a month, and you haven't even paid for your accounting software or your password manager yet.
You're way over budget before you even look at custom software hosting for that portal you mentioned. The starter tier effectively pays for itself immediately just by capping those runaway costs.
Yeah.
You swap a constantly fluctuating endlessly expanding SaaS bill for a fixed $997 flat rate.
And the beautiful part is the growth mechanic. Because there are no per-seat licenses anywhere in this stack, when your 30-person company has a really great year and grows to 50 people, your software bill for those core functions doesn't increase by a single dime.
Not a dime.
You just create 20 new user accounts in your own system.
It fundamentally changes how a business plans for the future. Software just becomes a fixed utility, not a variable tax on your own success.
But inevitably, a business is going to need more. They get the starter plan off the ground, they stop the bleeding on their baseline SaaS bills, but what happens when the company starts aggressively scaling? What happens when they need actual human hands to build new custom features, fix complex third-party integrations, or really optimize their workflows?
That is when you step up to level 2, the tenure growth plan.
Okay, tenure growth sits at $1,800 a month. Tell me what changes structurally at this level.
The baseline capacities expand significantly here. You get everything in the starter tier, but now your capacity for custom applications doubles. You can have up to 2 custom apps supported with dedicated GitLab CI/CD pipelines.
Okay, 2 apps now.
But the biggest structural shift at the growth tier is the introduction of managed operations and observability.
The sources mention a stack of tools here: Prometheus, Grafana, and Uptime Kuma. Break those down for us. What is the difference between basic monitoring and what these tools actually do?
Basic monitoring is inherently reactive. It's basically a script pinging your website and saying, hey, the site is down. Uptime Kuma handles that baseline. It's your heartbeat monitor, instantly alerting the Baur team if a service just drops. But Prometheus and Grafana, they are about proactive observability.
Proactive? How so?
Prometheus is an incredibly powerful data scraper. It reaches into your server every few seconds and pulls deeply detailed metrics. I mean, exactly how much CPU power your accounting app is using, how much memory the database is consuming right this second, the network latency of your email server. It collects millions of raw data points.
And Grafana?
Grafana then takes all that raw, unreadable data from Prometheus and turns it into beautiful, highly readable visual dashboards.
So Baur isn't just sitting around waiting for the server to crash.
Exactly. They are actively observing the health of your infrastructure in real time. If they see the memory usage on your database slowly creeping up over a week, they can intervene, optimize the database, or allocate more resources long before the system ever actually crashes.
It's the difference between driving a car until the engine literally smokes versus having a dashboard that warns you the oil pressure is slightly off.
That's a perfect analogy.
That makes a lot of sense. But looking at the growth tier, the real game changer at the $1,800 level seems to be the development time. The plan includes 10 hours per month of dedicated fractional development.
This is where the tenure model really diverges from just being a fancy hosting provider. For $1,800, you are getting part-time developer output without the massive overhead of hiring a full-time employee, paying health benefits, or dealing with long recruitment cycles.
Okay, I have to stop you there. Let's be completely real for a second. 10 hours, that is a little over 1 standard workday a month.
It sounds small.
If we are talking about traditional software development, 10 hours is literally nothing. 10 hours barely covers the Zoom meetings required to discuss the requirements of a new feature, let alone actually write the code, test it for bugs, and deploy it to a live server. What can a developer actually get done in 10 hours?
If we were talking about software development from, say, 2019, you would be absolutely right. 10 hours would be completely useless. But Baur software doesn't operate in a 2019 paradigm. This is where we have to deeply examine their internal AI infrastructure.
The sources heavily emphasize AI, but I've played with ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot. Half the time, it hallucinates a software library that doesn't even exist. How is a 10-hour allowance not just entirely spent by a human developer fixing broken, hallucinated AI code?
Because they aren't just using a generic chatbot in a browser window. Baur has built an entire architecture around highly specialized AI agents. They call it their AI event bus. The sources note that traditional engagements were designed around large teams executing sequentially.
Right, like a product manager writes a spec, hands it to a junior developer,
Who writes the boilerplate, then hands it to a senior developer who reviews it, then hands it to QA. Baur collapses that entire timeline.
How does the AI event bus avoid the hallucinations, though? That's the real problem.
Through strict scoping and context. The AI event bus is hooked directly into your specific GitLab repository. It reads your actual code base to deeply understand the context of what you are building. When you request a feature, you aren't using prompt engineering to try and coax code out of a black box. The AI agent acts autonomously within very strict parameters. It handles the boilerplate code, the repetitive data transformations, and the initial structural setup.
And the human, what are they doing during those 10 hours?
The human engineer acts as the editor, not the typist. In those 10 hours, a senior developer at Baur isn't starting with a blank screen. The AI has already generated the bulk of the logic. The human developer's time is spent purely on high-leverage tasks, architecture review, security validation, and complex problem-solving that actually requires human intuition. They use a phrase in their advisory documents: AI to do it fast, experts to do it right.
So those 10 hours don't represent raw typing speed. They represent highly concentrated, high-levered engineering judgment.
Precisely. Work that used to require a large sequential team over an entire week can now be achieved by an AI agent and a senior engineer in a fraction of the time. You are paying for the output of a senior developer equipped with enterprise-grade AI automation. It creates a massive amount of velocity for a growing business.
All right, so that is the growth tier. But let's look further down the roadmap. The business keeps exploding. 10 hours of fractional dev isn't enough anymore. The volume of customer data they are handling is getting highly sensitive, and they are starting to face strict compliance audits. They need true enterprise-grade security. This brings us to level 3, tenure scale.
Tenure scale is priced at $3,200 a month, and this is a significant architectural shift. This tier isn't just about doing more of the same, it's about introducing true enterprise capabilities to mid-sized companies.
Break down the specific upgrades for us at this $3,200 level.
Well, your capacity expands across the board. You get everything from the growth tier, but your development time doubles to 20 hours per month. Your GitLab CE installation is upgraded to give you full admin control. So you aren't just a basic user in the repository anymore. You control the overarching instance settings.
Oh, that's good.
And critically, your network access is upgraded to priority support via a tail-scale private mesh network.
Let's pause on that. A private mesh network sounds incredibly cool, like something out of a spy movie, but what does that actually look like on my laptop? How is it different from a standard VPN we all use?
A standard VPN routes all your internet traffic through a central server somewhere else, which can be pretty slow and basically creates a single point of failure. Tailscale is different. It uses a protocol called WireGuard to create direct, secure, peer-to-peer connections between specific devices, meaning it creates an invisible, highly encrypted tunnel directly from the Baur engineer's laptop to your specific server, bypassing the public internet entirely. Your server's administrative interfaces, the backend where you manage the databases and the code, they are not exposed to the public web at all.
Wait, really?
They don't even have a public IP address.
Right.
If a hacker scans the internet looking for open ports, your server effectively doesn't exist to them. Baur engineers access your stack strictly through this secure mesh, drastically reducing your attack surface.
And the observability gets an upgrade at the scale tier too, right?
Yes. They introduced Loki and Alert Manager. Loki is for centralized log aggregation. Every time any system on your server does anything, a login attempt, a database query, an email sent, it generates a text log. Loki collects all those millions of logs into one centralized, easily searchable database.
And Alert Manager.
Alert Manager allows Baur to set up advanced rule-based notification routing. If a specific type of database error occurs, it pages the specific database specialist immediately, rather than just sending a generic alert to some noisy Slack channel.
But the feature that really caught my eye in the scale tier documentation is under advanced security. It explicitly mentions automatic credential rotation utilizing OIDC and SOP Sage. Okay, that is a massive bowl of alphabet soup. What does that actually mean, and why should a business owner even care?
This is a perfect example of democratizing enterprise security.
Yeah.
Let's use a physical analogy. Imagine you have a physical master key that opens every single door in your corporate headquarters. If an employee loses that key or gets stolen, you have a massive security breach on your hands.
Right.
To fix it, you have to call a locksmith and manually change every single lock in the building, which takes days.
A complete operational nightmare.
Exactly. In the software world, those keys are called secrets. These are the API keys that connect your app to a payment gateway like Stripe or the master passwords for your main database. In traditional non-enterprise setups, those secrets are often just hard-coded into the software, or they sit in a plain text configuration file for years.
Yikes.
If a hacker breaches your system and finds that file, they have the keys to the kingdom indefinitely.
So how do OIDC and SOP Sage act as an automated locksmith?
Let's start with OIDC, or OpenID Connect. Think of it like the digital version of a bank token key fob. You know those little devices that generate a new 6-digit code every 30 seconds?
Sure, I have one for my business checking account.
OIDC does that, but system to system. Instead of a hard-coded permanent password, systems authenticate using short-lived ephemeral tokens. The access code is constantly changing. Even if a bad actor somehow manages to intercept a token, by the time they try to use it, the token has already expired and the lock has changed.
That is brilliant. And SOP Sage?
SOPS stands for Secrets Operations. Combined with the age encryption tool, it ensures that even when your secrets have to be stored in your code repository, they're deeply encrypted. Only the specific live server environment holding the correct private key can actually decrypt them at the exact moment the software runs.
So even if someone steals the raw source code of your app, the passwords inside it are just useless gibberish to them.
Precisely. By self-hosting these tools at the scale tier, mid-sized companies achieve a true Fortune 500 level security posture. They get security by architecture, not just by writing a company policy that says, please don't share passwords. You are getting all of this without being locked into a massive, multi-year enterprise vendor contract.
That is incredibly powerful. All right, we've covered the journey of a single business scaling up its own internal infrastructure. But what if your business isn't just building tools for itself? What if you are listening to this and you run a digital agency and your entire business model is building apps, websites, or digital infrastructure for other businesses?
That changes everything.
It requires a completely different architectural approach, and that leads us to the final tier, level 4, tenure agency.
Tenure agency is priced at $5,500 a month, and you are absolutely right, it represents a total paradigm shift for how digital agencies actually operate and generate revenue.
Walk us through what is included at this top tier.
You get everything in the scale tier, all the enterprise security and observability. But the deployment model fundamentally changes. You get multi-stack deployment. This means Baur software will deploy and manage up to 5 completely independent stacks.
And these can be deployed anywhere.
Yes. They can be on your own private agency servers, or you can deploy them directly onto your client's individual cloud accounts, like their specific AWS or Google Cloud setups.
Okay, if I have 5 different client environments running simultaneously, how does the automation handle that? Won't they bottleneck each other when we push updates?
That's where the dedicated compute comes in. Baur provisions dedicated CI/CD runners for every single stack.
Let's go back to our factory assembly line analogy. Instead of one assembly line desperately trying to build software for 5 different companies, you have 5 independent parallel assembly lines.
Oh, nice.
If you push a massive update to client A's application, the automated testing and deployment for client B is completely unaffected. Total compute isolation.
And the development hours. Maximum capacity. You get 40 hours per month of fractional development. That is an entire work week of highly concentrated AI-assisted senior engineering time dedicated solely to your agency every single month.
Let me try a new analogy here. At the agency tier, you aren't just owning your own house anymore. You are becoming a property developer. In the old model, agencies basically acted like apartment brokers. You'd set up a client on Shopify or HubSpot or a managed WordPress host. You were just renting them an apartment in someone else's skyscraper. Maybe you take a small affiliate cut, but the third-party platform ultimately holds all the real power.
And the platform owns the long-term relationship with your client, and they hold the client's actual data.
Exactly. But with Tenure Agency, you become the landlord of your own secure, custom-built cul-de-sac. You can provision a completely private, sovereign stack for your client.
The implications for an agency's business model are massive here. Traditionally, agencies have faced a value ceiling. They basically say, we will configure your SaaS for you. But with this setup, the agency can offer zero-trust, fully owned infrastructure as a premium high-ticket service. The client owns their data completely, which is a huge selling point for compliance-heavy industries like healthcare or finance.
Absolutely.
The agency manages that infrastructure using their 40 hours of Baur development time. The agency moves from being a basic reseller to being the indispensable infrastructure owner.
It changes the entire valuation of the agency itself. You are selling sovereign infrastructure, not just web design. Okay, so we've mentioned these fractional development hours repeatedly across all the tiers. 10 hours in growth, 20 in scale, 40 in agency.
And it is worth noting that if an agency or a business needs more velocity than their monthly plan provides, they aren't stuck. They can purchase additional fractional dev hours at a flat, totally transparent rate of $85 an hour.
That's very reasonable.
Yeah, and there are no mandatory monthly minimums for overages, and the compute power for the AI agents is billed separately at cost, which is usually just $5 to $10 a month for a basic virtual private server.
Right. But we need to talk about how that time is actually spent. We touched on the AI event bus avoiding hallucinations earlier, but the sources provide a very specific, highly transparent workflow for how this development happens day to day. Let's dive into the execution layer. Let's walk through the dev loop.
The dev loop is the actual heartbeat of the tenure service. When you mix AI automation with human engineering, things can get chaotic incredibly fast if you don't have a rigid process. The dev loop is a highly structured, step-by-step workflow that ensures the client is always in absolute control and the AI agents are always strictly supervised.
Let's break it down step by step. Step 1, file an issue.
Everything begins in GitLab. Every single piece of work, whether it's a massive new feature, a tiny bug fix, or just a tweak to an internal workflow, starts as an issue filed in your self-hosted GitLab instance. You aren't just sending a vague, confusing email to a developer. You are creating a tracked, auditable ticket in your own system.
Step 2, AI scopes it.
This is where the AI event bus actually activates. Once the issue is filed, an AI agent immediately analyzes the plain English request. It cross-references your request against the entire context of your existing codebase. It breaks the problem down into logical, actionable tasks, estimates the engineering effort required, and automatically posts a detailed scoping comment right back on the GitLab issue.
It basically writes the technical specification document for you.
Exactly. It does the heavy lifting of figuring out what actually needs to happen.
Which brings us to step 3, which seems to be the most critical part of the whole loop. You approve.
Yes. The human acts as the ultimate circuit breaker. The client reviews the AI's scoping document and replies to greenlight it. This is an unbreakable rule in the Baur ecosystem. Absolutely nothing is built until the client says so.
So no surprises on the bill.
None. There's no rogue AI writing experimental code in the background, burning through your fractional hours without permission. You are the principal. You authorize the work.
Step 4, agent builds.
Once it has human approval, the AI agent gets to work. It writes the code, creates a new, completely isolated branch in your Git repository so it doesn't break the live site, and opens a merge request, an MR. This contains the exact diff, meaning the exact lines of code that were added, changed, or deleted.
And finally, step 5, review and merge. And again, a human steps in here.
The AI code never ever goes live automatically. A senior human engineer at Baur and the client, if they choose to review it, examines the merge request. They review the code the AI wrote line by line. They're looking for edge cases, security vulnerabilities, and architectural elegance.
Making sure it's up to standard.
Right. Once the senior engineer is completely satisfied with the quality, they click the button to merge it into the main code base, and the CI/CD pipeline deploys it.
If you are running a business, this loop is just brilliant. You aren't paying a developer $85 an hour to sit staring at a blank text editor, Googling how to write a basic database query. You are paying for their senior judgment. You are paying them to review, validate, and secure what the AI agent drafted in seconds.
And because this entire 5-step loop happens securely within your self-hosted GitLab instance, you own the complete audit trail forever. If you ever get audited, or if you are selling your company and going through due diligence, you can prove exactly who requested every single feature, which AI agent scoped it, where you gave explicit approval, the exact code the agent generated, and the sign-off from the senior human engineer.
It is perfectly transparent, perfectly auditable, and entirely owned by you.
It's bulletproof.
Okay, let's take a breath and recap the massive journey we've just been on. We started by confronting a fundamental philosophy, this realization that the SaaS Rent Trap, the endless per-seat utility bill, is actually a choice, not a requirement. We explored the radical idea of total data ownership and predictable flat-rate pricing.
We opened up the open source toolbox to see the mechanisms that make this possible. We looked at how accounting maintains QuickBooks syncing, how DocuSeal encrypts contracts, how Baur manages IP reputation for self-hosted email, and how the PAP Zero Trust Protocol secures it all.
We walked up the 4 tiers of tenure. The starter plan at $997 to aggressively cap those runaway costs. The growth plan to add observability and AI-powered fractional development. The scale plan, introducing Fortune 500 level security with OIDC credential rotation and private mesh networks. And the agency plan, allowing businesses to become sovereign infrastructure landlords for their own clients.
And finally, we broke down the AI-driven dev loop that makes this entire model economically viable, using AI agents for unprecedented speed and human experts for necessary judgment and security.
It is a lot of technical information to take in, but stepping back, it really feels like a genuine paradigm shift for how a modern company operates.
It is, and it raises a final Pretty provocative thought for us to mull over. If we look at the last 15 years of software, we've established that the traditional SaaS business model relies on one very simple, very powerful mechanism, making you completely dependent on their proprietary infrastructure so they can charge you a per-seat toll every single month.
The toll booth.
The toll booth.
Yeah.
But if Baur Software's tenure model proves that a regular mid-sized business can easily replicate that exact same enterprise infrastructure, host it securely themselves, and use AI agents to maintain and develop it at a fraction of the traditional cost, well, what happens to the global software economy when that realization goes mainstream?
Oh, wow. I mean, that's huge.
If the underlying dependency on third-party servers is completely removed, the entire metering model basically collapses. We might not just be looking at a clever new managed service plan today. As AI agents get better at writing and maintaining code, we might actually be looking at the beginning of the end for the traditional SaaS toll booth altogether.
That is a thought that will definitely stick with me. If the plumbing can finally fix itself, why on earth would we keep paying rent to the landlord? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. If you're listening, I highly encourage you to take a hard, honest look at your own monthly software bills this week. Look at those per-seat charges, calculate the yearly total, and ask yourself, are you actually paying for value, or are you just paying the toll? Until next time, keep questioning the defaults.